Our last two speakers in this breakout session are Frank Grognet and Sangeeta Somashekara from Atos, both of them. Frank is a senior business analyst and biz developer in cognitive search, data analytics, and machine learning solutions. Sangeeta is a senior consultant at Atos and has more than 8 years of IT experience. The title of their talk is How to Leverage Unstructured Data to Improve Knowledge Management, 2 use cases in the legal profession. The speakers will show us, based on 2 use cases, how to leverage unstructured data in a lawyer's office and in a global legal department using NLP techniques. Frank, Sangeeta, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Well, as you said, so we will illustrate the machine learning technology in the legal world, so which is not so usual, and in fact that's true that we will focus on what we call unstructured data. So that's why the first thing I would like to insist on is the type of data we are using. So let's start with the concept of the Databerg. So maybe you know this concept already. So it's also called sometimes the data iceberg. So what's the idea behind? Well, in fact, we will apply our machine learning technology on what we call unstructured data. What it is, an unstructured data? Well, it is an information which can be put in files, unstructured files like Office, PDF, whatever, but also video and audio, it's possible. And as you know, we have a lot of volume and the volume are increasing. So we have a data deluge, as we say, so we are crushed by the data. But we have to find our ways in those data. Why? Because those data can be roughly classified in 3 different types. So you are the one that you see and you use that is well structured. This is what we call the critical business data. And usually these data are in structured information in database or similar one. So easy to access and to leverage and to get the best of it. But behind that, we have also, and this is the most part, so nearly 88% or nearly 90% is the data which can be classified in rot data. That's the term that we use. So for redundant, obsolete, and trivial data. So it means that there are duplicates. We have data which are no more relevant or we are not very useful for the business. But then we have, and the biggest part is what we call dark data. So nothing to do with Star Wars, but means that those data, you pay for it, you store it, but you don't use it. So, and this is the most part of your data. And the good news is that those data have in fact a lot of relevant information for your business. So they have high potential. But the problem is that you don't have the right tool to leverage this potential and to find the entities or the relevant entities or concepts that are needed for your business. And this information is rising, is increasing every day. So then the idea is really to harvest and to harness this data, which are called dark data, in order to find the information you need for your business. And this is what we will illustrate in the presentation with two legal cases. So let's start first with the first cases. So that's the cases we have realized here in Belgium. It is called engagement letter tracking. So I will explain. Well, in fact, the problem of the lawyer, because we are speaking here about a very large lawyer office, which has which are established in different countries with different languages, and they have millions of unstructured data stored in the system. And this system is in fact coming from different sources. And this is also the first item which is very important when you manage unstructured data, is that you must be able to have a high connectivity to the existing repositories, because you cannot afford to move them all in a data lake or to move them in another system in order to process them. No, you have to keep them where they are, and you have to access those data, whatever the type of tool which is behind and whatever the type of format that you have. So here, specifically for this customer, so they have tens of millions of unstructured data, which are scattered in mainly 4 different repositories or 4 different data sources. So obviously, they have a very dedicated document management system. They have, of course, the email, and as you know, the email is really a big container where you have a lot of things and you have really to find your way in that. But this is important because a lot of discussion is still done through the email. So email is really a very important repository, a little bit sensitive because, of course, well, sometimes you have private things in that. So we have also to leverage that. And then they have a real enterprise vault system, and then obviously a file system where they put the information. And as you know, in such a file system, you have a lot of duplicates that needs to be creamed, of course, for the data. So that's the picture. So the big company, different countries, different languages, millions, tens of millions of unstructured data. And of course, those unstructured data are not always correctly identified. So as you know, we can associate to the data what we call metadata, but of course, often the reality is that those metadata are not relevant. So it means that we really need to address the content, the unstructured content of those information in order to leverage the relevant information we need for the business. So what's in fact the need and the expectation of the customer? Well, the need and the expectation of the customer is really to find what we call engagement letters. So this is contractual information which are very crucial to know, because if they don't know that, if they are not aware of that, then of course it can create trouble in the business. So we need to identify that, and we need to find that with a high level of security. And also, last but not least, we have also to manage different languages. And this is also a very important part. As you know, in Belgium, we have 3 national languages, but English is an additional one. But here, in fact, we have to tackle document written in English, in French, and in Dutch. Okay, and the idea is as soon as we identify that, we can automatically tag them, and we know precisely, okay, what are the engagement letter and what are the contractual measures you have to take care for a specific customer. That's the idea, identifying those engagement letters. So basically, we have 3 steps in the process. First of all, we need, as I mentioned, to capture and to be connected to the different repository that I mentioned before, being able also to read the different format and to convert it in a usable format in order to process the content of those data. And then the content is what is mainly, of course, indexing it and then identify within those letters, so the concept which can identify the document as an engagement letter. And for that, we will use a typical machine learning classification algorithm in order to identify this kind of data for this kind of document for the 3 languages. And then, of course, we will have also, additionally to the classification model I will shortly explain, we will also have the possibility for the power user who has the knowledge to fine-tune, to improve the model in order to increase the reliability of the recognition and identification of those engagement letters. And then the idea is then as soon as we identify those one, we can move them to a specific repository. Okay, so how we do that? Well, first of all, as I said, we have really to get access to the data. Therefore, we use a solution which is one of the market leader in this domain, which is Sinequa. It's a cognitive search solution. It means that they have different model in order to solution the problem we have, to have a solution for the problem we have. So it means that they are able to connect to the different content, so that's important. So we have a lot of connector at our disposal in order to address any kind of data source, about 200 at disposal. Then, of course, we have the natural language processing part, which will able to identify the concept and the term that we need in order to classify that. And last but not least, we have also a directly integrated learning platform with a connection to the Spark and the TensorFlow initiative. So that's important. And last but not least, we have, of course, the presentation layer in order to show that to the end user or to interact with the system through search-based application. So that's the idea. So we first of all set up that, and then as soon as the data are connected, indexed, and converted, then automatically we can apply this model that I just mentioned before. So what does it mean? So it means that we have to set up, and that's the key of the solution, and this is important, the interaction you have with the customer. We have to identify sets of data sets that are used to that needs to be used for the this classification model. So it means that you have a training set which has to be provided in order to be sure that we have relevant data per classification that we have to do, but also per languages. That's important. Then we have the evaluation set in order to measure the performance that we have created using this training. And then last but not least, we have the validation set to fine-tune the hyper parameters of the model. And then as soon as that it is done, then automatically we will apply that to the real set, so the millions of data, and then we will fine-tune that. So what does it mean, fine-tuning? So it means that we will use some metrics, in fact, to be sure that the model we have is correct and it's in line with what we expect. So it means that those models will be typically the one that we use for such a thing. So it's the precision, the recall, and the confusion metrics, with automatically through the system, through a dashboard, a visual way of displaying those information about precision, recall, and confusion metrics. So everything is built in the system, so you don't have to recreate the wheel. You just have to tune the system to do so. So it means that if I want to summarize, in fact, the processes, so we have to set up together with the customer, so a training set for the different model. Here, in this case, we have only one classification to identify the engagement letter, but we have 3 languages. Then again, we have also to create this evaluation set, which is important to evaluate the performance. Then this validation set, as I said, in order to fine-tune the hyperparameters, and then we apply that, as I said, to the real corpus, and then we deploy, in fact, this prediction model on the machine learning server built in the system. But then, of course, we can fine-tune that, and so we have a loop back to the system through the end user, so the power user are able to address and to take a look at what has been classified as such, and then can tag the information in order to improve and to fine-tune the model automatically. So that's an increasing, a refinement and an improvement loop that is put at disposal of the power user to fine-tune the model. But everything is built in the solution, as I mentioned. What it is important to mention is that what are the lessons learned that we have with this project? Well, first of all, as I said, connectivity, get access to the data is crucial. So we have to really have a good search-based project before we apply machine learning when we speak about unstructured data with document. Or it could be also video and audio, and then we can transform that automatically using services to transform that in text. The preparation of the data set is crucial, and we need an involvement of the customer because we need a very accurate training set in the different languages, which is always a challenge because the different languages, sometimes you don't have all the person there to be able to identify that. Then the balance between all those data sets is crucial too. So we really have not to overestimate, or to overrepresent, or to underrepresent one of the collection in the different languages. For instance, we need really to find the right balance. And last but not least, we are really working in an agile project team. So it means that we are doing a proof of concept together with the customer, and then we involve the people, and this is crucial. We really need to have key user involved in the system in order to get their feedback and to fine-tune the system accordingly. So that's the way we process. As soon as the proof of concept is done, then we can industrialize the project as we did, and then we will roll out that in production. So that's the most important thing. So really build machine learning on a search-based application, have a good training set in all languages, find the right balance, and then have involved people throughout the project to realize that with us. So that's basically the first example, the first project we would like to share with you. So I will wait for your question afterwards. Then I will give now the word to Sangeeta.
Thank you, Frank. Welcome everyone to the second use case. So the teams, okay, let me take control. All right, yeah, so it works. So the teams and departments in almost every large multinational company over a period of time gathers knowledge, and it is often scattered, like Frank mentioned also, in different systems. So you have emails, you have different file systems. Sometimes people exchange valuable information in persistent chat applications as well. So often when someone leaves the company or just the team, within the company, this whole set of knowledge is lost. And when you onboard a new team member, then you have to the new member has to reinvent the wheel. This means time lost, money lost, and it's a lot of money when we're talking about lawyers, right? So the key challenge when we face when we are trying to build such a solution, or when we are actually doing some digital disruption by avoiding new gen applications, is to have a trustworthy metadata. So you need to not only have metadata, but you also have to have consensus on the metadata that you're developing or building. So my case dealt with this challenge, but also with an added complication of privileged and confidential data. So I'm talking about the client attorney privilege here. So me and my team, we put together a solution where we scanned through mailboxes of all the lawyers in the legal team, and we had a classification model which would identify legal opinions only from the mailboxes and then source this out into a different system, which can then be used like for repurposing the advisors, which will then save money directly, or you can use this set of legal opinions that have been sourced for training new team members. So again, this saves time of lawyers, but also it kind of onboards them into the organization culture itself. So this can then be used in the day-to-day activities as a guidance. So the value created by the solution actually was very tangible, is very tangible and quantifiable. I can actually say that we were able to save to the tunes of millions of dollars every year. And now what we are doing, I'm actually developing a solution. I'm leading this offering from the company to label unstructured documents.
Just to remind you that we have 5 minutes left in total, so you can take for sure some more minutes to finish the slides, but that will eat up some of the question time. Just that you know.
Is there any question from the audience so far?
I can't tell you yet. No,
Yes.
no, not
So
yet.
in that case, then let's see if I can show you a sneak peek into a kind of teaser of what I was talking about. And let me share my screen. Let me know if you could see my screen.
Browser.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you are able to see, this is the Claire solution. We are calling it as a classifier, annotation, and retrieval application. And here you can actually quickly search through any terms, and we are looking into Reddit forum, into the legal discussion forum, to pick out discussions or posts that have been done, which we think has some legal content in it. So you can see if you don't actually optimize it using our model, then you will usually get a lot of results. So you can see there's 450 results, and if you optimize it using a trained machine learning model, then you would actually cut down the noise a lot. So you'd see only 119. And then we even prepare a score for the legal content through this machine learning model. And you can even sort by this and just go through the posts that have relevant legal information. So yeah, this is quickly what I wanted to share.
Okay.
I hope they are not paused.
Now we still have time, and it's always nice to see a live demo that works also. I was wondering about the index behind it. Did you build some custom index behind it? What is it Elasticsearch behind it? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, this is a proof of concept. Like I said, this was a teaser that we quickly prepared. It's using Lucene search index behind the scene, but we have a proprietary indexing solution as well, which will include the context of the search query along with the content that is being indexed, which can be embedded into such applications.
For the first case, it's the Sine qua indexing system which is used.
Sorry, Frank, I didn't get you.
So I said that for the first use case I present, for the indexing is the Sine qua built-in system which is used.
Exactly. Yeah. So you could use. I mean, the metadata can be then leveraged by any search application, irrespective of what kind of indexing you use. So the first problem that often all the organizations face is to have this metadata store. So you have a lot of unstructured data, documents spread out. You want to actually tag them, label them, and make sure they're classified correctly. And then you can build any kind of intelligent system on top of it. Cognitive automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning models, you name it.
I have some questions now from the audience. Was an out-of-the-box model used for the classification task?
So yeah, we used BERT, but not an out-of-the-box model. We actually did a supervised model, which is based on BERT algorithm from Google. So it's a custom model.
And did you train it on only on the customer's data or on some legal domain knowledge data, open data?
So we had a group of lawyers who actually provided the training data for us in the real use case. And we also prepared some lexicons using the industry relevant legal terms and everything to boost the model.
Yeah, in my case, that all the data set, training data are coming from the repository of the customer, because we have to classify their own data. So it's typically engagement letters. So, and this is a challenge because we have to find them and to classify that correctly according to the languages.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to thank the organizing team as well as all the participants, please. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.